back, Sports Corner Pod. I'm your host, JB. Obviously, you can see this isn't the traditional podcast setup. Today, I just got a little short video for you guys. I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the NBA Finals and why I think the Oklahoma City Thunder is going to win. I'm going to be breaking down some ideas and thoughts that I have over the series and how I think different things will play out. Without further ado, let's get right into it. And be sure to tell me what you guys think of the video on the different format. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's get to the video. One of the biggest storylines for this year's playoffs is the fact that this is the number one offense versus the number one defense. A lot of people are saying that this playoffs could end up being a very boring playoffs, things like that. But honestly, I feel like that's a very casual take, and this could end up being, stylistically, one of the best playoffs that we've seen and most entertaining. I mean, who doesn't love a good defense versus offense? You know, I saw a lot of posts on Instagram that are saying now we'll finally find out if defense wins championships. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that. One of the biggest categories for both teams, offensively and defensively, is transition. The Pacers are a top transition offensive team, and the Thunder are a top transition defensive team. So both teams will be looking to push their identity onto the other. You guys might not have realized it, but the Thunder have already gone against a really good transition team this year's playoffs. The Memphis Grizzlies statistically was one of the best transition offensive teams in the NBA this year, and that offense was effectively limited by OKC. During the regular season, their transition offense accounted for 17.2 of their plays. During the playoffs versus OKC, it was limited to 11.9. This would have taken them from the 1 or 2 spot and would have put them at last in the NBA. So that just shows you the drastic change and effect that the Thunder defense have on transition offenses. Therefore, a major key to victory for Indiana would have to be to get out and run like they usually do. They can't allow OKC to stop their offensive rhythm, as they're right now ranked the number one transition offense in the NBA in this year's playoffs, so that's a major part of their identity. On the other hand, the Pacers will also have a tall task stopping the Thunder's transition offense, as they're currently ranking number 2. And the Thunder get their transition offense in different ways, where the Pacers usually get it off of makes and misses, rebounding the ball and just running the court. The Thunder also get it by getting stops and steals and turnovers, leading out to easy transition buckets. So I think this aspect favors the Thunder, and they will be able to win this category. However, I can see Indiana winning this for a couple of games, and those might be the games that they win. If they're able to consistently win this category, then that could flip the series for them and could be really big, swinging the series in their favor. However, I believe that the variance at which OKC gets their transition points, be it makes or misses, and also defensive stops, will allow them to usually win this category. However, I can see Indiana winning this based on the sheer volume amount of transition opportunities that they have. And if they can consistently win this can be very big for them. One area I like to continue focusing on is OKC's defense. I'm not sure people realize just quite how dominant this defense is. During the season, it led the league in pretty much all statistical categories, one of them being turnovers generated. I think this could be a key point in the series for both teams, as both teams force a lot of turnovers and don't commit a lot of turnovers themselves. This will obviously be tested throughout the series for both teams, as it's a part of both of their identities. Tyrese Halliburton literally had a triple-double in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals versus the Knicks with no turnovers. And Shea, in the same way, put up 35 points with 0 turnovers in Game 7 versus the Nuggets in the conference semifinals. Both of these team leaders do not turn the ball over often. Shea occasionally has some nights with more turnovers than I'm sure he would like, but OKC can survive those nights because Shea isn't their dominant source of playmaking, which I believe is a differentiating factor between both teams. OKC has a lot of guys who consistently playmake for them throughout a game, like Isaiah Hartenstein, Jalen Williams, and other players that can put the ball on the floor and connect the offense for them. In spurts, players like Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace, Kenrich Williams, and also Jalen Williams, the center. However, I believe from Tyrese's standpoint, it would be harder for his team to survive a high turnover night because he's their main playmaking source. We turn the ball over, we consistently get points out of that. So I believe that if their main engine is turning the ball over at a high clip, that could be very bad for the Pacers. And I'm by no means saying that Tyrese is just going to turn the ball over all series and look super sloppy. I'm just saying that the Thunder defense will be able to force him into a few more turnovers than he usually has. Similar to in the Nuggets series, where the Thunder defense was able to force Jokic into, at one point he had more turnovers than he had assists. And this is obviously very uncharacteristic for them. And the Nuggets usually can't survive games like this because he's their main playmaking hub. And so that's kind of the similarities that I'm making, is that when their main playmaking engine is turning the ball over with more regularity, that can be a very bad thing for the Pacers. And like I said, I don't expect it to just be like a super sloppy thing all series, but like maybe look over for the turnover numbers that he has in game one when he's first getting accustomed to this style of defense, how fast they're playing. He might have a few more turnovers than he usually has, and maybe they lose game one because of this, you know. So just saying that it could be a factor that swings games. One thing that the Pacers do have going for them is that they will be testing a major part of the Thunder's defense. The Pacers' biggest problem they present schematically is their ability to hit corner threes. The Thunder are notorious for giving up corner threes in order to help on drives and load up in the paint. In this year's playoffs, the Indiana Pacers are shooting lights out from the corner. Miles Turner shooting 69%. Pascal Siakam and TJ McConnell are shooting 50%. Aaron Nesmith is shooting 48.6%. Andrew Nembhard, 42.9%. Obi Toppin, 42.9%. Benedict Mathurin, 42.9%. As we saw last year, this is one of the main reasons that they lost the series to Dallas Mavericks. P.J. Washington able to consistently hit the corner threes that the Thunder were giving up. The biggest difference, I believe, though, is the fact that Luka was the person on offense the Thunder was having to guard, point of attack-wise. This time it's Tyrese Haliburton, and the Thunder will definitely not have as hard of a time containing him as a scorer as they would with a person like Luka. I think the Thunder's ability to guard him one-on-one, for the most part, will benefit them as they won't have to show them the same amount of bodies. If the Thunder choose in this series to give up the corner three early and Indiana begins to hit that often, it could spell trouble for the OKC Thunder and cause them to maybe shift their game plan some. So we'll have to keep an eye out on this for sure. Staying on the topics on the Thunder defense, the Thunder literally just sends out waves of personnel, all being able to guard. When the Thunder play, it's 48 minutes of constant defensive pressure, and it comes from every position. The Thunder starters and reserves are guys like Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, Shea, Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, Kenrich Williams. These are all a collection of guys with great hands. Specifically, Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, J-Dub, Lou Dort, and Shea. Cason and J-Dub are both top 10 in deflections. Shea, Cason Wallace, and J-Dub are all top 10 in loose balls recovered. And Shea, Cason, and J-Dub are all top 10 in steals. No matter who is in, what line the Thunder have, defense will be the first thing on their mind. Wherever you go, wherever the ball is, there will be hands swiping at it, all shots will be contested, and people will be flying around. Cason Wallace specifically has been making a name for himself throughout these playoffs with his defense, and he's been showing his growth as a playmaker as well, and as an off-the-dribble scorer. Right now, his main form of scoring comes from transition, where he's been very good at putting guys on posters and dunking on players, and also throwing oops for other players. He's been big in this aspect in every series. And one thing I've been saying all year is that it's completely unfair that when Lou Dort is in foul trouble or the Thunder just want to get him a breather, they can just sub in Cason Wallace or Alex Caruso to take his spot. This has to be one of the most demoralizing things the other team can see. The Thunder have also been playing them as a trio in this year's playoffs as well. Caruso, Lou, and Cason together as a trio have a net rating of 38.7, which is the best out of any trios with 10-plus games played together. So that just shows you the impact those guys are having and the impact the Thunder defense is having and why it's been so hard for teams to score on them and consistently make plays. The next thing I want to talk about is something that I kind of briefly mentioned earlier. And it was the biggest reason that I said that the Thunder would beat the Wolves. It was the fact that to beat a defense this good, you need a guy that is an elite playmaker that can get the ball to the next open guy or be able to skip it to the guy that's going to be open. And that's able to consistently read a shifting defense. These are guys like Luka, LeBron, and Jokic. And Tyrese Haliburton can actually do this as well. But the thing that separates Luka, LeBron, and Jokic is the fact that they're unguardable one-on-one, for the most part. Tyrese Haliburton, where he differs from Luka, LeBron, and Jokic, is that I think that the Thunder will be able to, like I said, guard him more consistently one-on-one. Whereas with a guy like Luka, LeBron, and Jokic, you have no choice but to send help. Therefore, that creates an advantage for the offense. And a player like Luka, LeBron, or Jokic is consistently going to find that advantage and take advantage every single time of your mistakes. However, with the Thunder being able to guard Tyrese Haliburton one-on-one, they won't have to load up as much behind him. And this will allow for, hopefully, less corner threes to be given up, and things like that, and limit the damage that the offense is putting on the defense, and creating and forcing Tyrese to just beat you in a one-on-one game where he wants to get all of his teammates involved. That's not how he wants to play. He wants to get his teammates involved. He wants to share the wealth with everyone while getting his. But if we limit him being able to get his and limit his other players, that really shuts down a major part of the Pacers' offense. But like I was saying with the Timberwolves series, we saw this with Ant, how he was able to score and draw double teams, but he wasn't able to consistently make the right play against the defense that was loading up against him. He was able to do it in spurts, but a player like Luka, Jokic, LeBron, and Tyrese as well, they're going to make that play every single time. However, when you can't guard them either, it makes it a lot harder because then their playmaking becomes that much more of a weapon when you can't guard their playmaking and you can't guard them from scoring either. The next thing I want to talk about is just how the Stars have played against these teams in the regular season. In 2 games in the regular season, Shea averaged 39 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds on 55.6% field goal percentage and 63.6% from the three. These are great numbers, obviously, but I don't expect him to average 40 in the finals. But I do expect him to have his way, I won't lie. I don't see anyone in this Pacers team really slowing him down. Maybe not that high of numbers at 40, but I don't think it would be too crazy for him to average between 33 and 36 points for this series. In the high 30s is what I should say. They're obviously going to try to limit his touches, but the ball will find him more than not. He's a great player. The ball's going to find his hands. Tyrese Halliburton, on the other hand, has only put up numbers like 11 points, 5.5 assists, and 3 rebounds in 2 games. He's obviously struggled a bit, and I expect him to have games where he plays well, of course, because he's a very talented player. And I don't expect the Thunder to just completely shut down his production. But I don't believe that he'll be able to consistently produce great production that is needed to beat the Thunder. Jalen Williams' stats against the Pacers are around 18 points per game, but I think he could up that to around 20 points per game this series. He's been very aggressive getting downhill in this playoffs. I don't expect him to change that at all. I think the hardest matchup for the Thunder, though, will actually be Pascal Siakam. But the good thing about this Thunder team is that they have depth. This depth allows them to match up a lot of bodies with him. Bodies like Jalen Williams, Chet, Ihart, Caruso, Kenrich Williams. These guys will be able to rotate on him. But I do expect J-Dub to get the most of the minute, followed by either Chet or Ihart. And Kenrich will get on him at times rotating, and obviously Alex Caruso as well. J-Dub did a great job on Julius Randle. I believe J-Dub can guard 1 through 5. He did it all during the regular season. And this is one of the main reasons that he was on the second team, all-defensive team. People forget that during a spur of the season, he was literally playing center for us. So it just shows his versatility and how he can guard everyone and the big impact he has on our team. I was actually telling people, like preaching to people, watch the J-Dub versus Julius Randle matchup throughout the playoffs. I was telling him that he hadn't seen a defender like him and that he hadn't seen a matchup like J-Dub yet because people don't give him enough credit for how strong he actually is. He's actually like strong enough to, push against the bigger bodies, and he has the length to, be able to contest shots. So we'll see how he does in this series matched up against Pascal and the other players that I get matched up against Pascal. Because Pascal, I believe, only scored about 16 points during the regular season matchups, but I believe him to take his scoring up a notch a bit in the playoffs. He's shown to be a big playoff scorer. Big reason that the Raptors won their finals, and he's been a big reason for the Pacers' playoff run. So we obviously know that this year's Thunder team is a defensive juggernaut, and it's close to a team with no weaknesses that you can have. Everyone is bought in defensively, and there's no let-up. I haven't even really been talking about the offensive side of the ball, where the Thunder are a top-ranked team right there alongside the Pacers. Chet and J-Dub have really been finding their groove, and when you sprinkle in timely shots and contributions they've been getting from the bench, this team is almost unbeatable. If Chet and J-Dub are able to keep their good play, it will be hard to beat this team. I believe they've won every game that Chet has been over 20 points, and he'll look to keep that scoring up for sure. And J-Dub has been playing well since Game 7, so he'll be looking to keep that up as well. Can't wait to see how these two play in the series. They could be huge pieces for the Thunder. The last point I want to make before I end this video is just to reiterate the importance of Alex Caruso to this championship run. I've been selling his stock since we traded for him in the summer. I told everyone I knew, everyone that would listen, that he would be a major reason the Thunder won the chip this year, and now it's taking full form. Whether it's him being plus 30 in Game 1 of the playoffs without even scoring a point, or becoming the first player in NBA history in Game 2 versus Denver to record 20 points, 5 assists, 5 steals, 2 blocks off the bench in a playoff game, or being plus 40 in Game 7 off the bench versus the Nuggets, all while being asked to guard Nikola Jokic. He is the resident vet on the team and does whatever the team needs to win, because he's the only one that's already won. Shout out to Sam Presti for getting a vet with championship experience to help lead a group of super talented young players. Everyone talked about the experience factor last year. And in this year's playoffs, the Thunder have looked like the more experienced team throughout. They've been shown more discipline than the teams that they've been playing, and they've also just shown more hunger. The one knock that people gave on the Thunder was that their experience would cause them to not have a championship this year. But I've been saying it since the conference finals for both teams. Experience would not be the reason that any team won. So with that being said, I do believe the Thunder will be winning the NBA championship this year. To the casual basketball fan, the Thunder versus Pacers series might not seem like your cup of tea. However, to a real basketball lover, this could be some of the best hoops we've seen in a while. And the storylines don't disappoint. You got the number 1 offense versus the number 1 defense. You got 2 teams that have never won a championship before, 2 small market teams. You got 2 rising stars, point guard stars, and Shai and Tyrese Halliburton. On Shai's side of things, no one's won a scoring title and a Finals MVP since Shaq. And no one's won a Finals MVP and a regular season MVP since LeBron. So he has a chance to do something historic. And both franchises have a chance to make history for their respective cities. I don't know what else I can tell you, but you better tune in to this year's finals. Thank you guys for watching the Sports Corner again. I'm your host, JB. Appreciate you for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Share the video with your friends. Hey, and we'll see how this year's finals goes. Sports Corner out.